The worst Prime Minister in Canadian history. Joe Clark. In my opinion, Joe Clark is the worst Prime Minister in Canadian history. The man served a mere 259 days as the head of government, and yet this was long enough to be ranked as abysmal in my books. He may not have been a raging alcoholic or possessed a disconcerting affection for dogs, but he also lacked the political astuteness of his predecessors. Joe Clark's government had come about because of the public's disenchantment with Trudeau. The PCs were seen as the only viable alternative. As is the norm in Canadian politics, the election hadn't been won by Clark, but rather lost by Trudeau. Clark made many election promises which were overly generous, especially considering the government's monstrous debt in excess of $200 billion. These included income tax cuts, income tax deductible mortgages and property taxes, corporate tax credits, and research and development tax cuts. Clark was on thin ice from the beginning, as the Liberals had won a plurality of the popular vote. In an effort to cut down on the government's debt, he rescinded on a number of election promises. Converse to the spirit of his election platform, Clark let interest rates grow, and attempted to implement both a consumer tax and excise tax on gas. The man pushed too far and too fast. In the budget vote, a number of PC MPs were missing. Not only had Clark failed to lure any third-party MPs, but he had failed to even add up the numbers he needed for the budget to pass. This can be partly attributed to arrogance, as the PCs thought they were well ahead in the polls, and an election might grant them a majority. However, their information was months outdated, and they were taken by surprise at the Liberal win. Of course, Clark's poor reputation is not wholly his own fault. He was a favorite subject of ridicule for political cartoonists, who depicted him as bumbling and inexperienced. His weak chin was caricatured as a metaphorically significant focal point. In a sign of the times, he was derided because his wife retained her maiden name. Finally, on a visit to the Middle East, reporters focused on lost luggage and missed flights, undermining the political significance of the trip. These political cartoons from the period make the derision all the more obvious. Joe Clark still deserves the brunt of the blame for his weak leadership and poor judgment. He failed to grasp that Canadians were unwilling to take on short-term pain, no matter the resulting gain, especially when his opponents were offering such an easy way out.